Hello everybody, I'm Zesty. Welcome to my channel where I show you how to make my favorite DIYs and recipes. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make bagels. I love bagels. I love making bagels. They are so fun to make. I first learned how to make bagels in my breakfast breads class, and ever since then, I can't stop. This recipe is an adaptation of, I would say, about 4 or 5 recipes that I've tried, and I've just kind of compiled all the tips and tricks and my favorite methods of making this into one. So yes, this recipe is very special to me, and I am so excited to share it with you today. I prefer my bagels to be a little bit chewier and softer, so this is more like a New York style bagel as opposed to a Montreal style bagel. That's why I like my bagels, so that's how I'm gonna show you how to make them. Other than your essential baking tools, mixing bowls, trays, things like that, you are going to need a pot to boil some water in because we are going to be boiling the bagels before they go in the oven, and I'll explain that later. And you're gonna need one of these. I think it's like a, kind of like a slotted spoon thing, slotted spoon. I don't actually think this is called a slotted spoon. Anyways, I don't know what this is called, but you're gonna want some sort of slotted spoon or thingamajig. I bought this at the dollar store, and I use this for my bagels, so this is my bagel spoon. All right, anyways, let's get to making these bagels. As always, the ingredients for this recipe are posted in the description down below. When it comes to the flour for bagels, the whole internet and everyone is going to tell you that you need bread flour to make these. And although bread flour is ideal, if you only have all-purpose flour, you can still make bagels. I promise you, they'll still turn out delicious. Start off by blooming your yeast. You're going to add in your sugar, your yeast, and your molasses into your warm water. You're gonna let your yeast mixture sit for at least 10 minutes while it blooms and froths up. Once your yeast is looking nice and frothy, you can go ahead and prepare your flour. So go ahead and add in your flour into a large mixing bowl, add in your salt, and just combine that with your hands so that the salt is incorporated into the flour. And when you're done that, make a well in the center of your flour, and we're going to be adding in the yeast mixture right into this well. Once you've added your yeast mixture, just use your hand to mix it up. We're going to be forming a shaggy dough in the bowl. And once the dough has absorbed most of the flour, we're going to turn it over onto our surface to finish kneading. This dough has to be kneaded for at least 10 minutes. You could totally use a stand-up mixer for this if you wanted to, but I prefer to do it by hand. And what you're gonna do is fold the dough into itself. So I like taking my hand and bringing in one of the edges of the dough into the center, and then I use both my palms to just push it and press it into itself. You're gonna wanna keep doing this for about 10 minutes, and you're going to see that the dough is going to start forming into a nice, smooth, but firm dough. Once your dough is looking smooth and it's almost too hard to knead, you're going to want to form it into a ball with your hands like this. And now we're gonna prepare the bowl for our dough to sit in. So grab yourself a large bowl, add in some oil, and spread it around with your hands so that the dough doesn't stick to the bowl while it's rising. When that's ready to go, add your dough into the bowl and cover this with a damp cloth. You're gonna wanna let this sit in a warm place for at least an hour to an hour and a half. During this time, I like to make my everything bagel seasoning, and I also like to sprinkle some cheese on some of my bagels. So I'll have that ready to go, and I'll also have some egg wash ready to go in the fridge. For your everything bagel seasoning, all you'll have to do is combine your seeds and your salt in a bowl, mix it up, and then hydrate it slightly with about 1/4 of a teaspoon of water. I like to use a spray bottle, and I just spritz the water into the bowl just to hydrate it ever so slightly. Okay, after an hour to an hour and a half, our dough should have doubled in size. It's gonna look like this, and we're gonna punch it down like so. Once that's done, I like to take a paper towel to wipe off the excess oil, and then I divide it into 8 equal pieces. I personally prefer using a scale so that all of my pieces are roughly the same weight and size, but this is totally optional. If you don't have a scale or you don't want to use a scale, that's totally fine. Just try to get your pieces as even as possible so that they all look around the same size. Once you have your 8 pieces ready to go, it's time to form them into bagels. Take the edges of the dough and press them into themselves until your dough looks something like a ball. Then you're going to want to turn it upside down and use your palms to keep forming it into a circular shape. To finish it off, take your hand, place it on top of the ball, and slightly press it down while swirling it in a circular motion. You want to do this on an unfloured surface because you kind of want this to stick a little bit. Okay, once your balls are ready to go, we're going to make the holes. So you're going to want to flour your hand and use your thumb and your index finger to make the hole. So place your thumb in the center of the ball and take your index finger and find your thumb on the other side until you form a little hole. Once that's formed, you can use your other hand to stretch out the hole, do a little dance if you want, and it's going to look something like this. Now, don't worry about the hole being big. It's going to kind of shrink once we boil these. You're going to want to let these sit covered for 10 minutes before you boil them. While those are sitting, you're going to want to boil some water for your bagels. And when your water is boiling and your bagels are ready to go, gently place them into your boiling water, and you're going to want to boil these on both sides for about 1.5 minutes. When you're doing these, I would suggest keeping a timer on hand. I would also suggest only boiling 2 or 3 at a time so that you don't overcrowd them. And when they're ready, place them onto your baking sheet. I like to use parchment paper underneath so that they don't stick. And before placing my bagels in the oven, I'm going to add the seasoning on top. So you're going to want to coat your bagels with your egg wash and then sprinkle your seasoning on top of your bagels. If you're adding cheese, you can add that as well. And once your bagels are all ready to go, you can pop them into a 425-degree oven. These are going to go in for about 25 to 30 minutes. Just make sure that you rotate them halfway through your baking time so that you get an even bake on all sides of your bagels. Here is me patiently waiting for my bagels to be ready. I think they're ready, so I'm just gonna take them out because I'm just way too excited to eat these. And look at that, our bagels are beautiful and ready to go. These are so freaking good. You guys are gonna love these. Thank you so much for watching. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week. Thanks for watching again, guys. See ya.